Welcome to Einstein's disease. Through real-world insights and powerful conversations with industry leaders, we help you break past limitations and rethink success. Are you ready to push the boundaries of what's possible?
Good evening. It's Greg Ellers, Einstein's disease, where we break through barriers with leaders in a lot of different communities and businesses to understand how their success has manifested and what it was over time that's challenged them, that's given them the ability to have that success. And in doing so today, we're fortunate to have with us Matt Renner. Matt's the CEO of PassPass. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, it's really exciting to have an opportunity. Matt's right here in Houston, and was able to come into the studio today. I've known Matt for I don't know, what is it, Matt? A couple of maybe 5-6 months, something like that.
Yeah.
And Matt's got a great backstory, but what's really drawn me into having a relationship with Matt is his ability to understand that you got to change when things don't work. And Matt, if we kind of take a step back before we dive into PassPass, when I say that, when you've got to change to make things work, tell me a little bit about what it was from the beginning as an entrepreneur, because you've been I don't know, serial entrepreneur is a fair way to say it. You've had a lot of different opportunities. You've done some great things. Give the audience and our viewers, give them a little bit of an understanding of what that actually. How do you think? How did that happen? What gave you that inspiration to move forward and take those risks?
Yeah, for me, I started back in the early 2000s and kind of Web 1.0 era. It was either after high school, either go to college or get into business. And I got into business just knocking on doors, selling stuff door to door, doing some various network marketing and just trying to find my lane. Fortunate enough to know the founders of a little company called resortsandlodges.com. So it was basically a marketplace, a Web 1.0 marketplace in the early 2000s. And I just got started with them and got started in sales. Spent about 15 years kind of working my way through that company and became a partner in 2014 after just, helping them build the business. And then at that time, I helped acquire a software company in the vacation rental, short-term rental space, and became partner. We built that company up and eventually sold it to private equity. But it was 8 years of really heavy, just hand-to-hand, bootstrapped. We didn't raise a bunch of money. We just sold customers, delivered on what we said we were going to do, and that was kind of my first experience building a company of any kind of scale. But during that process, I learned how to build software, how to build marketplaces, the network effects it takes, how to build teams. Going from 12 employees when I came back there in 2011 to about 200 or so when we sold the company. And so I thought I was going to be done after that, but I was still hungry, still wanted to build something else. And PassPass really came about because during that process, I opened up a restaurant. And the restaurant is a very hard business to be in. Very tight profit margins. Seasonality was difficult. And I was looking for ways to how do I create more revenue and how do I take what I learned selling software, which is subscription, software as a service, you're charging a monthly fee and it's very predictable and it has a much higher multiple in terms of like if you're trying to sell the business or trying to finance a business. And so I took what I learned building a software company and I said, well, how can I apply that to my restaurant, which was an indoor golf, full restaurant, bar and grill. It's like Topgolf.
What state's that in?
That's in Minnesota.
So it's indoor for a reason.
Yeah. And so I had the insight when I started that to create a membership program for that business. And over the years, we've signed up thousands of members, and we actually make more profit from the membership program now, PassPass, than we do from the restaurant itself.
Wow.
And so I kind of had that learning. At the same time, I met my business partner Edge in Nashville, and he was working on something similar, and we kind of came together and said, well, how do we build this into a marketplace, a broader marketplace where any business can build their own subscription business on top of our platform. We'll create the software, we'll create the app, and allow businesses to advertise for free as long as they're willing to give something to the members. And then any business could refer members to the platform. And ultimately, we started that last January, and, we're here today about, a year, 13 months later, and we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Frankly, but that's kind of my path. That's how I got here.
So if we go back to when you started and decided to go out and knock on doors and become a salesman, who were your mentors? What did you look at to say, because you were at it for 15 years. Yes, you became a partner, but that was a path where you didn't start there. Yeah. You didn't really know where you were going to go. But how did you acquire your mentors? Who was your counsel as you went through that to stay in something? Because in today's day and age, 2000 wasn't that long ago. Most people don't stay in a job for more than 2 or 3 years, Matt. Yeah. And you've had a progression that's provided you with an enormous satisfaction and the ability to go on.
Yeah. So I think early on, my mentors were business leaders. It wasn't necessarily people I knew in turn, because I didn't know that many successful business people. I was just a young kid out of high school, right? So I looked at people I admired. I read all the books. I studied entrepreneurship. I studied how to build connections, build relationships. I put myself out there. Network marketing actually really got me into it, because with network marketing, it's all about networking, right? You're talking to people. You're trying to get them to buy into whatever it is that you're doing, and hopefully it's a win-win. And so that was kind of my early experience, was actually network marketing, which can get a bad rap. I think a lot, people hear it and they're like, oh, that's, what is it, a pyramid or something? Right. And there are those types of companies out there, but for a young person to learn how to do sales and how to network and how to build those kind of relationships, that was invaluable for me. And then I knew one of the founders of the company I worked for. I went to high school with his younger brother. So part of that was just luck, just knew the guy. He brought me in, he mentored me. He's a couple years older than me. He, became the CEO of the company. I rose with him during that time. And I always heard you can't build wealth jumping from thing to thing to thing. It takes 8 to 10 years to build anything of value, because you have to allow the time to master something and get really good at it. And if you're jumping from thing to thing to thing, and all you're selling is your time, you're just never going to give yourself the runway to build any value, to become valuable at a scale where you can, turn it into long-term wealth. So
what I'm hearing there is the backdoor to the word patience, perseverance, and trust in oneself, right? At the end of the day, and we experience this. Technology is something you mentioned that you've been in, software, pass, et cetera. But technology really shortens people's attention spans and expectations of what they can actually do as a human, as to be productive and to actually engage and be a part of the economy versus just riding on it.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing, or what you've said, is it takes a long time to be able to really have an impact on whatever part of the economy you want to be in. And
I think that's right.
That's a great message for our listeners, because, the younger generation doesn't have some of that same patience, and they need entrepreneurs. We need them as a society, but most importantly, it's the mentorship that's needed. And I think you really touched on a couple of things in this first segment that we'll kind of dive a little deeper into when we come back from a commercial break. We got to pay for the show. So we'll be back shortly. This is Greg Ellers from Einstein's disease, and we look forward to the second episode.
You break past limitations and rethink success. Are you ready to push the boundaries of what's possible?